If I'm not mistaken, is that the first time you all share screen
Yeah.
space together?
No, Heartless में
Heartless, of course. But यहाँ पर
Yeah, तो वहाँ तो अपनी फिल्म थी ना. But for the first time we have been cast together.
Sanjay Leela Bhansali, the man who's known to be a certain way on the sets.
Yeah.
What did you all hear about him? And when you all reached the sets, what did you all figure out about him as a director? Adhyayan,
I think वही है डांट वाट के बारे में बात होती है, but I've had the most beautiful time working with him. He's treated me like a baby on set. He's loved me so much.
डांटता कौन है?
डांटता कौन नहीं?
जो perfectionist रहता है, जिसके मुताबिक काम नहीं हो रहा, वही डांटेगा ना. What's wrong with that? Richa herself has said that, you know, he got angry. He says, how many takes do you want?
Yeah.
How many takes? But the fact remains, he gave her 99 retakes.
Yeah.
Who would do that?
Yeah.
Nobody.
And then may I also ask that how were you dealing with these past 15 years? Like what we see right now is not just Sanjay Leela Bhansali ji's words, it's everyone's word.
जी.
That कि कहाँ थे?
जी.
Where have you been?
Nobody was giving me work. You do understand that publicly at the success party of Hira Mandi, when Mr. Bhansali spoke about me, you can understand what that means to me. You know, I'm not expecting that will get me work. My work will get me work. You know, but the fact that you feel validated as an actor and as a human being, where he said that he was the most wonderful boy to work with. There have been rumors I've been fighting for the last 10, 15 years that people are saying that he's arrogant, he doesn't want to work, he's the most difficult person to work with.
He's struggling. How were you dealing with it?
I was here listening to one of Bachchan Saab's interview, and he said that the first few years, 13, 14, 15 of my films flopped.
Yeah.
15 films flopped. So you have to go through a lot. You know, compared to that there's nothing that he's been through, you know. Probably not half as much what he went through.
देर ही सही, लेकिन सही वक्त आ चुका है. Have there been more projects opened after Hira Mandi?
There are a few people that have been approaching him.
Okay.
Interesting projects coming. Yeah.
Together? Anything together?
Together it would come. I'm sure it would.
I have a feeling it's just been 27 days. I have a feeling that by the time the word spreads in the industry, look, I feel like nothing is magic. अभी एक अच्छा काम आया है, मैं विश्वास करता हूँ कि मैं खुद जाके दरवाजे खटखटाऊँ आज भी.
हाँ, because it's high time कि he plays your younger.
Yeah, probably.
I am Shekhar Suman.
Hi, this is Adhyayan Suman,
and you're watching us on Bollywood Hungama.
अब देखिए, बाप बेटे के रिश्ते की जब बात आती है ना, तो there are some words that just suddenly come into your mind. Strict, dangerous, scary, खतरनाक. ये जो हंस रही है ना,
खतरे की घंटी. 440
they can put the relationship of a father and son to shame, because these guys have a whole new meaning, a whole new definition of what bond they have. Hello everyone, welcome to Bollywood Hungama. My name is Urmin and presenting the Desi boy.
Yeah.
Adhyayan Suman, Shekhar Suman, how are you guys doing?
Good.
तो आप में से बड़ा कौन है?
Unfortunately मैं ही हूँ, यही बोला जाता है जब मैं घर से बाहर निकलता हूँ तो
ये इनका बड़प्पन है जो ये कह रहे हैं.
इसको accept कर लिया as a reality now. Might as well accept it.
Can I just start the interview by doing this?
Thank you.
What a cute bond, what a cute relationship. Every time I speak to you, Shekhar ji, I know that आपका जो caller tune है वो इनका जो गाना है, and it's one of my favorite songs. Sonio, if someone is listening to Sonio, I have like this immense respect for that person. नहीं, मैं उनको जज करती हूँ कि आप अच्छे इंसान हैं, आप में कुछ अच्छी बात है. But to see the two of you all together here, and as well as in Hira Mandi, oh my God. किसे पहले ये रोल ऑफर किया गया था? क्या मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूँगी?
मुझे ऑफर हुआ था ये तो मुझसे सेट पर जब मासूम दिल मेरा शूट हो रहा था, तब ये मुझसे खाली सेट पर मिलने आए थे, सर से मिलने आए थे. And by the time he reached home, he had gotten a call from Mr. Bhansali's office, and that
वो चुपके से मेरा ऑडिशन था.
Quiet audition.
We were too excited. Actually, Alka wanted to, pay a visit on the sets, and I'm like too far away from these things. She dragged me. She said, "चलना होगा, बेटा," and Sanjay Leela Bhansali and all of that, and so let's go. So we carried a big bouquet and we went there and we saw him in action, and we met Sanjay, and we met the rest of the cast. I remember meeting Richa Chadha before her 99 takes happened.
You've spoken about the most.
So yeah, that's how it happened. But our man was the first one who got the offer, and he was proud as a peacock, and he was flaunting it, and I was feeling jealous. And my wife was saying, "What's wrong with you? Why haven't you been cast?" So I said, "I haven't the foggiest idea why I haven't." But I'm so happy for him.
So this is like when you're playing Zulfikar.
No, that's Zorawar.
We're playing
He plays Zorawar. I'm
Midway
Zulfikar.
while I was, he is Zulfikar.
He also plays Zulfikar.
Played Zulfikar,
Exactly.
but that
So
happened
you're
while I was shooting midway when they were figuring out.
बहुत पहली बार ऐसा हुआ होगा, at least
Yeah, but
as
quite
far
cool
as my
though.
knowledge is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Were you guys like also like stunned by this move?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because he was already doing a role, a very important role, a very significant role, and suddenly Bhansali Sahab decided that he has to do my younger version, which was quite offensive. But yes, I was so happy that he was offered the second role in Hira Mandi. So
मुझे लगता है कि this is the genius of Sanjay Leela Bhansali to also accept that the audience is smart enough to understand.
Yeah.
It could have gone the
It
other
could have gone
way.
the other way.
Yeah.
But it was very clear. I
you know, he said a very peculiar thing. He said about both of you. He said, जब मैं लेंस से आपको देखता हूँ, तो मुझे वहाँ अध्ययन सामने खड़ा नजर आता है, और जब मैं अध्ययन को देखता हूँ, तो आप खड़े नजर आते हैं. This is so eerie and so funny that it happens.
Freaky, I get this a lot all the time. हमेशा बोलते हैं यार तुम शेखर जी की तरह साउंड कर रहे हो, उनकी तरह बोलते हो एकदम, उनकी तरह दिख रहे हो एकदम स्क्रीन पर.
That's what he said.
I get this all the time.
But I think that was the best decision, because if there had to be a younger version of you shown in an era earlier, you were perfect.
Perfect
for
for
just
that. Yes,
perfect
absolutely.
for it. For some reason, I mean, of course, we know it that because dad ke saath utna baithna, you managed to just ace his style. And with Zorawar, the best part was that there was you could see the difference.
A distinct difference.
Yeah.
So many times when I'm watching his old films or any of his recent songs, and I feel, oh my God, that's me. That's me. And Alka keeps writing, he says, you look so much like you. And all the journalists have been saying, when he talks like you. Not that he deliberately copies me or anything. He's a part of me. And I guess I was a lot like my father, unknowingly, unwittingly. But I was. So that's a lot of me has rubbed off on him, and also just growing up together, spending a lot of time together. It happens, I guess. And then on the phone,
you can't make
Alka has spoken to him thinking it's Shekhar.
No, forget that.
And his girlfriend has spoken to me.
He's picked up my phone and couple of my girlfriend and be like, hi, and they're talking to him as if it's me. So I'm
so worried.
I'm like, क्या बोल दोगे फोन पे भाई आराम से, मैं नहीं हूँ फोन पर भाई.
हुआ है कुछ ऐसे कुछ.
And he's shouting, but मैं नहीं हूँ, because he knows that it probably can go just the other way.
And then I'd like to ask you this first, because you were the first one part of Hira Mandi. What was your idea of Zorawar in your mind?
My idea of Zorawar, I think वो जो उसके अंदर जो एक grey shade था, जो debauchery थी उसके अंदर, जो there was a sense of arrogance, sense of ahankar, madness. I think that entire line sums it all when he says कि Zorawar Ali Khan जब जूता भी मारता है तो सोने का मारता है मलिका जान. I think that sums up the character in itself. That sort of gave me an idea of where I need to take Zorawar, and वहाँ से tone set हो गया उसका. And then you have Mr. Bhansali just coming in and doing his thing and putting you into that world and creating the world, and then the rest of the job is done.
I want to tell you this, that I have always thought of you as a chocolate boy.
Yeah.
I think you can do a better grey shade than a chocolate boy.
Yeah, I agree. I don't look at myself as a
couldn't
chocolate
agree
boy at
more.
all. Yeah.
I completely. A lot of people said that with the grey shades you just come across so strong and so on point.
Yeah.
I think Raz did that also.
Yeah.
Raz also towards the end.
You have Sonio, you have the romance, and then suddenly he turns this dude, at the pre-climax, he turns grey. And people really appreciated that. So Ashram, Tinka Singh was grey. Again in his own right. So people have really accepted me in that.
And the definitions have changed. I think earlier they were all known as villains.
Yeah.
They're not villains. They're normal human beings like you and I with grey shades, with that bit of unpredictability. Like Zulfikar, in love with Malika Jan, but when it comes to saving his honor, he's there. He says, you will be found dead and naked out here if I don't get the file. so out with it. Suddenly he changes.
Absolutely.
You know, but so that kind of superciliousness.
He's the same Zulfikar who actually, in the younger version, when he kills Sonakshi and he's helping her, hide the evidence, and he says, "I'm really worried about you. Please call me." He's the same guy who holds her and says, "Dude, if you mess with me, you know what I'm going to do to you." The same where he slashes Sanjida in the younger version with the pen. He's the same Zulfikar, is also soft.
I love it. I love it. I think that it takes a lot to pen down a character with so many different layers to
literally
it.
pen down.
Pen down. Yeah.
But more fun playing these characters, rather than like a very straightforward.
There's no fun.
Syrupy, saccharine character that beyond a point gets rather tedious and boring.
Okay, now may I also say that, I think it takes a lot to do what you did in your first scene, and it just proves that how dedicated you are to your craft.
Yeah.
Your first scene has, I don't want to give spoilers for people, for the 1% people who have not seen it, maybe now.
Yeah.
But
everybody is obsessing over here. I mean, wherever you go, whatever you open your social media here, there, you're meeting people socially. They're just talking about Hira Mandi. And the funniest thing I've just seen, the latest fad is everybody in the family is dressing up as Tawaf and celebrating.
Birthday celebrate ho rahe hain.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy what the show is.
But please tell us about the carriage scene that you had. How was it for you? How challenging was it for you?
Thank God it wasn't a miscarriage. It could have been.
Aaj matlab punch.
No, but it could have been. But that scene had all the reasons it could have gone south and become a miscarriage, as I said, because it's a very, very nuanced scene.
Yeah.
It's as you know that you were talking about Nawabs. Nawab जो होते थे उनमें तकब्बुर, घमंड, वो ant, they were supercilious, और अपने आगे किसी को कुछ नहीं समझना, गुरूर, सुरूर में, all of that. But they were also somewhere servile to the British Raj, and that weighed upon their conscience. Right. Somewhere they were sycophants, and also their marriage would always sort of never work out because they were all philanderers.
Right.
And these quotas were just the ideal place where they would vent their emotional feelings and physical. And so for that scene, it was a normal scene, written in a manner that I would just be sitting next to her, saying all these politically laden lines of how one has to sell oneself to the British, but one has to survive, and that once these Britishers are going to go away, we're going to be in a mess. कि जब ये चले जाएंगे हम लोग आपस में लड़ मरेंगे. And all of that he's saying. So he has that sense, that bit of consciousness what he's talking. He's also inebriated. He's also in a drunken stupor. And he's a Nawab. So if he turns left, he turns left. The woman is saying, I'm sitting here. He says, I'm a Nawab, I've turned left, so I'm going to do the act here. So when I was just about to go in and enact the scene, Sanjay called me and he said, I have an idea which is pretty distorted, bizarre. You might find it bizarre, but this is what I think the Nawab would do. So I guess that all of that I said about being servile to the British Raj, about being in love with the Tawaif, also has fallen from grace, brings out the pathos of this character somewhere, And so he turns around and he gets a fellatio mid-air, thinking, and he insists that he knows where Malika Jan is and he's doing the right thing. I says, how do you like it? I said, so. He says, if you're embarrassed to do it, then don't do it. If you're not convinced, don't do it. I said, there's no question of not being convinced as an actor and as a character that I'm portraying. It's, probably in a situation like this, he might just be like this. Who knows? So I have to convince myself that yes, and I thought there's nothing wrong with it at all. As a matter of fact, it became a challenge that it had to be done in a certain way, because in the drunken scenes are very difficult to handle.
Absolutely.
It's most of the times like over the top.
Yeah.
if you're underplaying it, then it doesn't hit the bullseye. You don't hit the mark.
It can go cringe very soon.
Yeah, it can go either way. So
Yeah.
just to be on the mark, on point. So it's very difficult. And so I said, let's go for it. I said, no more instructions, no nothing. This is his frame of mind. This is how it has happened. You know, he's drunk out of his wits, and Malika Jan is sitting watching him, but he couldn't care less, and he thinks he's just having it out with her. And it was just sort of magic. It was one take, and it was he just rolled the camera, and that's it. And there were a couple of improvisations that I did in between. And I was thinking, even while performing, whether I should be doing or not, because I don't know how. A lot of directors don't allow you that latitude to improvise. They stick to the script ad verbatim. So, itna hi karna, isse zyada nahi. But I did it. A couple of things I did it, and he was later telling me I was like pleasantly surprised, and that, you know, I was so happy that you did it. Something like, you know, when he was the act, while he's talking, he says, ahista, ahista, easy, gently, you know, all of that I was doing. And so it was a longish take. At the end of it, I could just see, he said, cut, and I could see him running, Gonzali Sahib, all the way, we're in the carriage, and he just kept saying, magnificent, magnificent. What I had heard of him, that he's hardly the kind who will praise a performance or be elated or anything of that sort. He would probably say, okay, good. But he was exultant, and that made my day, because, you know, that was my first shot.
Wow.
The first time that I was working with him. So I knew that, you know, the note was now set.
What a shot, what a shot.
That's how it happened.
What was your reaction when you saw that scene?
I think it's an actor's delight for younger actors like us who are just starting off or whatever, trying to learn the craft. I think the more you watch the scene, the more you learn the amount of layers that the scene has, as he very rightly put across. When I saw it the first time, the layer of it, the surface level of it was funny, it was very well done. But when you get into the nuanced part of every line, the way it is said, I think that was outstanding. And then everywhere when the show came out, the amount of phone calls I got for his scene, the amount of people who called me and spoke about, and I'm glad that people could understand the layered scene.
Correct.
Otherwise, people don't usually get, as I said, as he also rightly put across, it could have gone up being cringe, but it didn't. People were nitpicking on those, one line, that one expression, that one, nuance or whatever it is, but they caught on to it, which is great. That means our audiences are also evolving.
They are evolving.
Which is
They
great.
really
They are
are
evolving.
That means they are understanding,
That's what I'm saying, that
The times, they are a-changing.
I really respect SLB for that, because he's sure that the audience will get what he's trying to direct and show in every shot.
Yeah.
Speaking about another fabulous shot, and you've been praised the most about your conversation with Malaika Jan. And tell us, how was it working with Manisha Koirala? First of all, kya actor hai?
Yeah,
Oh.
I think she's of course an amazing actor, and somebody I've been admiring for the longest time of my life. All of films, Khamoshi, Dil Se, huge admirer. And working with her, as I said earlier also, that she made me, sounds cliche, made me feel comfortable when I went on set, called me to her van, we had lunch, we sat, we spoke. And then being on set, of course, working with her, absolutely brilliant performer, but then at the end of the day, you're just like so lost in that world. You can't think of anything else but just it's I don't know if you can call it meditation, but you're in some other world when you're working, whoever it might be, but you're just like lost in your own thoughts at the end of it, But having said that, working with her has been amazing. I mean, she's a huge reason why the scene has been loved so much. If she wasn't that good, I wouldn't have been able to be this good.
Again,
And after the shot,
Hanji.
she turned around to Bhansali Sahib and said, where was he all this while? I think that's a hugest compliment. Okay. Where was he all this while? And, after that, I had a conversation with him. He says, where was this boy, because of what I had heard of him and what rumors were spread about him and all of that, I was very skeptical about taking him, honestly. But a casting agent said, just try him out. And he sent in his audition tapes, and he's looking very good. So he says, your responsibility, and he did that. And he says, I would be damned if I had not taken him. So.
I'm very grateful to Shruti Mahajan as well. I keep
talking
about her, that she has really pushed me. She pushed me in Ashram, and then in Hira Mandi as well. So I'm very grateful to her.
So When we see normal films like, you know, where there is an everyday scene going on, there's a conversation happening. This is a larger than life set film and definitely a dialogue. As an actor, when you were listening to Malika Jan, you know, telling you and, you know, the reality of what you are and
who you are,
how were you preparing yourself to have that look, that holding on to that one feeling? What was your process?
I think the technicality of it, I've said this before, I sat with him. So the first day when I was on set, I was the one giving cues to Malika Jan. And by the time my shot came, Bansali sir realized that I'm too tired. So he said, "Bacha, just go home. We'll start afresh with you tomorrow. It's very important, this scene of the show. And for you as well." So I went home, I came to his room and I said, "Listen, I need to, you know, I think that this is something that can, I don't know. This is it for me. This scene is it for me. I need to, you know, figure this out, you know." And he sat and he said, ye karo, ye karo. I have a habit of saying, "Haan kar lunga." I said, "Kar lunga nahi, abhi karo." So he does this to me. So he's like a tough taskmaster that way. And then obviously the Urdu that sir caught on to, he said, "How are you speaking like this?" Then, you know, he said, "Your father has taught you this, hasn't he?" And it was so funny
sharp,
because
very sharp.
Because in previously, like the previous night, I was with him. Like every line, every nuance, every.
So you were reading the
he was telling me how to, he was telling me how to perform my lines. He was telling me how to sort of just giving me an idea of how I should take it forward.
The right emphasis, the stress how it
on
has to be delivered. Because it's a different world for him. You know, I'm acquainted with this world because, you know, I've grown up with that kind of films and I've seen all of that. I've read a lot about that. But for him, it's like a totally alien world. You know, and playing a Nawab and unki ek adaigi hoti and the way they will talk and all of that without overdoing it. But he had to get familiar with the intonation, the inflections, the semantics and all of that while he was saying his lines and trying to, you know, he when an actor says his lines, he should not just say it because they are lines, but he should understand what he's saying. A lot of actors just mouth their lines and go away. So if you dig deep down, there's always a subtext, and every word is a character by itself, which requires a certain kind of emphasis while you deliver. They are keywords, and that comes with practice, or, you know, when you are a theatre actor, it's taught to you these methods, some of the methods that you have to apply, and so that's why I was trying to familiarize him with that tonality.
This, what you just said, is a learning for a lot of upcoming actors as well.
Yes.
I think it's so important to not just say the dialogues, feel it
people
in the
think
right
that if you're an actor and you have just said your lines and that, you know, I did it in one take is no big deal. A lot of people, you can mug it up, you know, it's like by rote. You can just say and mouth your lines and get away with it. But that, how much of the character was in it? Was it just you saying the lines, or was it the character? If the character, then the character will have certain idiosyncrasies, will have certain behavioral patterns, and he or she will say it in a particular way. So if you have noticed that Malika Jan, she has, like Manisha, has gotten into a drawl. It's not her normal way of speaking.
Correct.
It's the way she has imagined, or Bansali Sahib has imagined Malika Jan would speak.
Yeah.
So then the entire speech pattern changes. The tonality, I said, you know, it has to be gruffy, it has to be squeaky, it has to be fast-paced, it has to have pauses. All of that needs to be worked out. So once you understand that, and once then you internalize that, when you're on the set, then it just comes out like it just flows out.
हमारे इंटरव्यू में जब हमने यहाँ पर ये एक इंटरव्यू किया था, you and me, you had mentioned that there was a time where you cried when you saw his one shot in Hira Mandi. Was this the shot you were speaking about?
Yes, this is the shot.
That you got very emotional when Sanjay
Bansali
sir
Sahib
spoke
called
about.
him. That's when he called him.
After this
scene, he called him and spoke to him.
He picked up the phone and called me, and he was praising him to the skies for 10 minutes, which was like, oh my God, this guy may have just missed out on so many things for the last so many years, but this more than makes amends for it. More than that, coming from Mr. Bansali, it's a huge validation.
I think forever I'll be grateful for what Mr. Bansali has given me. As I said, that there were times where I have knocked at doors, people, none of them, to be honest, wanted to open it for me. till the biggest filmmaker of the country gave me that chance, that opportunity. And when it comes to that scene, you know, if you look at the show in totality, I had a relatively smaller part. And for me, that scene in particular, I knew was life and death for me. So when you talk about the preparation aspect of it, of course, as I said, I've learned the technicality from him. But at the end of it, it was the 15 years of struggle, 15 years of that I've been through, the depression, the dark times. Everything had to be put into that one particular scene. And that is exactly, I feel, what Mr. Bhansali, I think, saw. So it was Zorawar, the character, but it was Adhyayan Suman's feelings for the last 15 years that were inculcated into that scene. And I felt like if I don't do it now, then I probably have another 20 years of struggle.
And then may I also ask that, how were you dealing with these past 15 years? Like what we see right now is not just Sanjay Leela Bhansali ji's words, it's everyone's word. That ye kahan the? Where have you been? Where have you been? What have you been doing?
I've been here. I've been just trying to fight my way out of the dark times, as we always talk about. And it's been tough, I see. And I feel like if I glamorize the dark part of my life, it doesn't really matter, because I think that's my own journey, my own battle, my own thing to fight. There are so many people fighting their own battles. I think what you need to realize, and what I need to tell people, that like he always used to tell me, that there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel, sounds, that sounds filmy or sounds unrealistic, but it is not. You have to understand that 15 years or 10 years or 5 years, whatever it is, when nobody was giving me work, you do understand that publicly at the success party of Hira Mandi, when Mr. Bhansali spoke about me, you can understand what that means to me. I'm not expecting that will get me work. My work will get me work. But the fact that you feel validated as an actor and as a human being, where he said that he was the most wonderful boy to work with. There have been rumors I've been fighting for the last 10, 15 years that people are saying that he's arrogant, he doesn't want to work, he's the most difficult person to work with. I couldn't have gone to every door and knocked and told them this is not who I am. When the validation comes from that man, that meant everything to me.
Do you feel that the rumors can actually make or break an actor's career?
Yeah, they surely can.
Yeah.
Because a lot of directors who would not bother to check back on the credibility would just go ahead and say, I don't want to get into this trouble, I don't have the time to invest my emotions into this guy, and I'd rather take somebody else, because if he turns out to be the way they're saying, then I'll be in trouble. So they won't bother to even call you up or meet you or try and find out why they're talking like that, whether they are rumors or they're just somebody, are you actually in some sort of a mess or what? So nobody has the time for that. So you will miss out on a lot of roles just because somebody has spread a rumor. Nobody is there to kind of correct that.
But as a father, how were you at it? Because एक side पर आपको उन्हें पूरी तरीके से support करना है, and this friendship which means the world to you guys and to people who are watching. On the other side, you must have also had to face the reality that he's struggling. How were you dealing with it?
It's part of life. It's part of everyone's life, I guess. Then, even when you're sitting on the throne, they say uneasy lies the head that wears a crown. So there is far more struggle there to just retain your position. There's struggle everywhere, and it's, as I said, it's part of professional hazard. And you have to fight it out. You have to have faith in yourself. You have to, if there are any rumors, you have to go, as I said, that when you meet the person, you have to clear it out, and you have to have a very clear stance about it. And there are a lot of people who worked, even after hearing the rumor, they said, but it's all untrue. So it just goes to show that there are some people who would like to believe you. There's some who won't. There are a lot of people who love you. So don't bother about the people who don't. So I guess, he just kept fighting, and that's what we were always by his side. Alka and I would always instill hope in him and tell him that it happens to the best of us. All of us have our journeys, and the road to success is always under construction. So you have to just keep fighting.
I've known you guys individually. I want to just say this, I'm always rooting for this family. For some reason, when the two of you all come in Hira Mandi, it was not just a win for you all, it was a win for me.
So sweet, yeah.
It feels like that. And it's
means a lot.
देर ही सही, लेकिन सही वक्त आ चुका है. Have there been more projects opened after Hira Mandi?
There are a few people that have been approaching him.
Interesting projects coming. Yeah.
Together? Anything together?
Together, it would come. I'm sure it would.
I have a feeling it's just been 27 days. I have a feeling that by the time the word spreads in the industry, look, I feel like nothing is magic.
हाँ.
अभी एक अच्छा काम आया है, मैं विश्वास करता हूँ कि मैं खुद जाके दरवाजे खटखटाऊँ आज भी.
हाँ, because it's high time कि he plays your younger.
Yeah, probably. That'll be fun though.
Yeah.
But that'll be fun. I want to play the older version of him, dude. That'll be really cool. You know,
something like Pa.
Yeah. That'll be crazy.
कुछ ऐसा हो जाए.
या कुछ कमाल करना है लाइफ में.
वैसे कई मामलों में हमारे बाप हैं. लेकिन वो एक अलग कहानी है.
लेकिन मुझे ये जानना है कि that since this is a very different relationship than the usual one, तो ऐसे कौन सी सबसे weirdest चीज पर आप लोग दोनों ने डिस्कशन किया है? Like which is not normal. Not normal, which is not normal between a father and son to talk about.
I don't know, man. I think we talk about everything under the sun.
So there's so many.
At one point, everything. At one point it sounds normal. At one point it sounds very awkward for the outside person to see ये सब बात कर रहे हैं.
ये लोग खुले सब बात कर रहे हैं.
But of course with a sense of respect, don't cross that line. So but we talk about everything. And I feel like that's the best. Why not? That's the best place to be in for any kid. I feel a lot of kids today are not able to open up to their family, thinking वो क्या सोचेंगे, क्या बोलेंगे. I think they don't even try, you know. And I think healing and fighting for your, when you're fighting outside with your career, your life, or whatever it is, I think the healing starts at home, where you come and you just like open up to your family and tell them this is how I feel, your frustration. I think the good part is my mother is very paranoid about my career, like any other Punjabi mother of mine. He is paranoid, but he is very quiet, which is what I love, because I can sense the energy.
I'm concerned.
Yeah. But not
paranoid, but concerned. Yeah.
Like
any father would be.
He told me, my first film, I feel like it was a wrong debut to choose, Halidil. But he told me, he said, now that you are out in the ocean, you have to swim yourself. So don't expect me to come and save you. I won't. I feel like all the wisdom and all the things that I've learned, I think it's because I was allowed to swim alone.
Oh.
And that's important.
बहुत सारे ऐसे families में बाप बेटे के रिश्ते में I love you ये बोला भी नहीं जाता. Like love is like understood.
Yes.
Do you guys do you all like tell each other that you all love each other?
हमारे खानदान में कभी ये कहा ही नहीं गया कि
किसी ने कहा
नहीं. और it was understood. Yeah. I think it's best when it's understood. ये कहना वहना इसका कोई मायने नहीं. Words don't have any meaning. I think you can sense it how much this person. I knew my parents, like my mother, loved me immensely. My father was so immensely proud of me. But they never said it. They never demonstrated it. और कभी-कभी मुझे लगता था यार कभी एक बार जरा एक हक दे देते और कह देते I love you beta, we are proud of you. But never. But they wrote it when they wrote a letter to me. Yeah. They would mention, but physically they were never demonstrated. I never got to hear that, and I have been like that. So
have you been the same with Adhyayan?
Yeah, because it's it's a given thing. It's you don't have to say it. I love you. I love you. I love you. That's understood.
What is your thought?
Yeah, absolutely. I think actions they speak everything. Energies they speak everything. Eyes they tell everything.
So, and the energies.
Yeah, the energies. So and you don't need someone to tell you I love you, because आज तो वैसे भी वो हो चुका है. I love you has been abused. In whichever relationship, brother. So it's no point even getting into it. Yeah.
Just speaking about Hiramanti again, a lot of complaints that have come is that why did you all have such less screen space?
Yes.
Yeah.
ज़्यादा चाहिए था. We wanted more.
Which I think is a huge compliment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then compliment to है.
It's a huge, but that's the way the story was constructed. Yeah. That's the way the story is quintessentially about the courtesans. It's not about the Nawab. Nawabs are on the periphery. I think we are still blessed that despite so many characters and despite their author-backed roles, we still had people's attention coming towards us.
That's a big
people
thing.
Still noticed us. People were still wanting a little more of us or a lot more of us. I think we cannot afford to complain.
पर क्या ये जब आप एक प्रोजेक्ट के लिए हाँ बोलते हैं तो एक आध बार मन में एक डाउट आता है कि बहुत कम है स्क्रीन स्पेस.
You should always look at the significance of your role. How pivotal it is to the script and not the length.
Yeah.
So even when Zulfikar or Zorawar, they are not there, they are being discussed, they are being talked about all throughout in the 8 episodes, right? But I guess that a role is a role. It's a good role or a bad role. It's never a long role or a short role. So if you can make an impact for an actor, one scene is enough to make an impact. Just one scene. So in that sense, as I said, we are not complaining at all. Of course, everyone wishes कि हमारा हर scene में होते, हर जगह दिखते, पर उसकी क्या ज़रूरत है? होते तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, नहीं है तो भी बहुत अच्छी बात है.
And then there is always season 2. So you
never know. You might know. Oh no, I don't know.
क्या कहा?
नहीं मैंने कुछ नहीं कहा, but आपने सच सुना है मैंने.
होना चाहिए. I think with the kind
मुझे लगता है आप दोनों का एक spin off होना चाहिए.
That is what a lot of people have been saying. You know, Zulfikar and Zorawar's, I think when he finds out that Zulfikar is his father, there's so much that you can build there. You know, so much that people wanted to see.
That's again so strange that we were cast like that he eventually, in a very obtuse sort of way, turns out to be my son.
Yeah.
Which wasn't planned at all. Yeah. That's not the reason why Bhansali Sahab had taken it. But it just turned out to like that. Look at this quirk of
lovely
destiny.
अच्छा, how was it shooting a scene together? जो end में एक ही बार आप शायद एक साथ रहते हैं.
हाँ, एक साथ. थोड़ा बीच से वो लंबा था, वो
थोड़ा कट गया, वो edit हो गया उसमें. But it was actually वो confrontation scene था मेरा और इनका.
अच्छा.
Where we have this cross swords there.
I want to shut Hira Mandi, and he says, you know, that I'm probably implying, and I'm telling him, probably being rude about the entire thing, and he says, you know, I'll make my own decision. I run this place. You know, I tell him, you don't talk to me like this. So it was a mad scene. And he's smoking and he's drinking.
He's impertinently like hanging, and then he gets, as I said, we cross swords there, and he shouts, I shout, and all that.
I wish it was
interesting.
Kept, yeah.
I wonder why it was chopped, but...
what, if I'm not mistaken, is that the first time you all share screen space together?
No, Heartless.
Heartless. But यहाँ पर...
Yeah, वहाँ तो अपनी फिल्म थी ना. But for the first time we have been cast together. But I'm sure that it's going to allow others to kind of think about casting us together in interesting roles. Not as father and son, but that would be too boring. But as characters in the same movie.
While y'all were shooting for this film, which must have been a really long period,
yes,
घर पर हीरा मंडी vibes हो रहे थे बात करने के लिए?
बहुत सारे हो रहे थे, and बहुत सारे खास तौर पे जो मैं पहले सिन करके आया था ना, so Alka said, क्या किया तुमने? So for the first time, normally when I perform a scene, I come and perform it for her.
Oh no.
कि ये किया है, वो किया. पर मैंने कहा कि ये मैं नहीं कर सकता. क्या? उन्होंने कहा क्या करके आए हो भाई? कुछ ऐसा वैसा सीन क्या? मैंने नहीं, बंसाली साहब के साथ ऐसा वैसा कुछ नहीं. पर किया क्या तुमने? What have you done? I said I cannot tell you. I said because that scene would lose its spunk and its charm if I told you. But I said nobody in this world or any part of this world or any language in cinema has done a scene like this. What Bhansali Sahab conceived. That bit. He said, what is it? I said, I cannot.
What did she say?
And give me some hint. कुछ तो बताओ क्या किया. मैंने कहा मैं बता ही नहीं सकता और मैं सच में नहीं बता क्या बताता मैं क्या करके आया. So he also, I didn't tell him, so I didn't know. It's a very interesting scene, but he went to dub and then he saw the portions of dubbing. He said, I saw you scene.
Yeah, I had to see it.
But हाँ, ये बहुत लोगों ने कहा, coming back to that, कि बहुत छोटा, बहुत मुख्तसर सा वो सीन आपका इनका कुछ ज़्यादा होता तो I think इनकी बैक स्टोरी ज़्यादा होती या आगे कॉन्फ्रंटेशन या इनके मलिका जान और इनके लज्जो की कहानी और थोड़ी extended.
Zoravar and Lajjo people wanted to see so much. They wanted the love story. Yeah.
हाँ, but as I said कि यही इतना था और इसके बीच में that was enough for us. But I hope and sincerely hoping that if at all the second series happens, which it should, given the kind of response that it made, and, you know, the acclaim that it's got, and I think all over the world people are talking about Hira Mandi. All over the world, because I have friends in America and London, and they called up and they're all watching and binge watching. Acha bura jisko, you know, they're saying mixed reactions, but you know, a lot of stupid people are fussing and obsessing over it, talking about and questioning the historical accuracy and authenticity and chronology. Bhansali Sahab is known for his dystopian saga. He's known for a world that he creates. He is a master craftsman. He creates his own world, and that's cinema. Yeah. Cinema should not be questioned. Interpretation should not be questioned, because that's his point of view. You know, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But if you start dissecting it, and he hasn't made a documentary on Hira Mandi. He's just taken a cue from there, leaf from there, and made a beautiful film out of that. This is the way he's imagined the characters to be, and added his bit to it. So I don't know that पड़ोसी मुल्क के कुछ लोग हैं who are feeling very jealous and about the fact कि इन्होंने क्यों बना दिया, भाई आप बना लेते. And why you even discussing our Hira Mandi? You know, we don't discuss your films. We don't even know whether you make films.
Sanjay Leela Bhansali, the man who's known to be a certain way on the sets. What did you all hear about him? And when you all reached the sets, what did you all figure out about him as a director? Adhyayan,
I think वही है डांट वाट के बारे में बात होती है, but I've had the most beautiful time working with him. He's treated me like a baby on set. He's loved me so much, pampered me so much on set. मेरे साथ और किसी के साथ भी, to be very honest, I haven't seen anything. And here and there, if he loses his temper a little bit.
डांटता कौन है?
डांटता कौन नहीं?
जो perfectionist रहता है, जिसके मुताबिक काम नहीं हो रहा, वही डांटेगा ना. What's wrong with that? He says, I lose my cool when things are not happening according to my wish or the way I want the actors if they are not come prepared. Or या कोई AD गलत कर रहा है या anybody is going wrong. There's time is running out. There's money and there is how much like Richa herself has said that he got angry. He says how many takes do you want?
Yeah.
How many takes? But the fact remains he gave her 99 retakes.
Yeah.
Who would do that?
Yeah.
Nobody.
कौन से डायरेक्टर आज उनको जल्दी पड़ी रहती है, भाई शॉट करो
चलो आगे.
But this is good for you as a performer.
Yeah.
He is trying to take out the best out of you only, ना. तो why are you
complaining? It's recorded for posterity. आप दिखेंगे अच्छे उनके उससे डांट की वजह से,
Yeah.
And he's doing it for everybody's betterment.
Okay, another very important thing that we have to discuss when we speak about Hira Mandi is the fact that there are a lot of accusations and opinions being formed about Alamze, about Sherman Sehgal. What are your thoughts about it? What do you all have to say?
देखिए, when you're in a public domain, people have the right to critique you. You can't stop them. Everybody, in today's time in social media, everybody has a goddamn opinion and has the liberty to express it. You cannot do anything about it. But you can ignore it. You can ignore it. If you think that the criticism has some credit to it or some credibility to it, do some quick thinking why they're saying like that. And if you feel they have a point, correct yourself and prove them all wrong in your next venture. If they are just doing for the heck of it and it's like become a fetish to do it, and then just ignore them. And I think that they're being just too harsh on her.
Okay.
I think that there is different schools of acting, and if she was not right, I don't think that Bhansali Saab would risk his name, his career, his reputation on a girl just because she happens to be his niece. I don't think so. और अगर वो रिचा चड्ढा से 99 टेक्स ले सकते हैं तो इससे 240 टेक्स ले सकते थे, but he would have gotten what he wanted from her. He would not just let her be in a world where she acts her according to her moods and whims and fancies and whatever little she knows about acting. Because she's relatively a newcomer. I think she was compared to a whole lot of people around her who are very accomplished actors.
Okay, I have to ask you this question, please. You being someone who we all look up to because of the really strong background you've had, theatre, everything, live shows, you name it and you've done it all. What was your thought about her acting as an actor?
As an actor, I'll tell you.
लेकिन ये सच बताना
नहीं सच बताऊंगा. There are many ways of looking at a character. मुझे ऐसा लगता है if you are, it can be true that if you have grown up in a milieu or in a surrounding where you have been suppressed and you are suffering, say, something from post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay? You are suppressed, you are repressed, you are in a very sort of a matriarchal sort of cocoon where somebody is breathing down your neck, you're not supposed to do this, that, and somebody who wants to liberate herself, somebody who wants to free herself from that kind of thing, obviously after a point just gives up on life, then what becomes of you is a person becomes absolutely emotionless, expressionless. I've seen people who are in a state of stupor, who would be just giving monosyllabic answers. There are characters like that. So maybe Bansali Sahab visualized that character to be like that. There have been characters like Nargis ji's character in the old film Andaz, where her father dies. Now here something within Aurangzeb dies, and then she was like exactly like her. Would just say yes and no, and the doctor said that the only way that she can come out of it, then somebody makes her cry, and then and then that's the effort that Dilip Sahab makes, and eventually she comes out of it. So as an actor, if I see on the face of it, it would seem that somebody is just sort of walking the part and not emoting at all. It can be deemed as completely expressionless robotic acting. But on the other hand, if you have a director like Bansali Sahab who has conceived Aurangzeb to be like this, then it makes a lot of sense that she was not react to anything sad or react to anything which makes her happy. She was just emotionless and expressionless. That's the way I look at it. Because I think that if she was probably not working as Aurangzeb, not turning out to be the way he had imagined, he would have definitely replaced her. I don't think he would take the risk.
Okay.
Even when Tajdar dies, she's still like...
That again,
I thought that was just the best way to react. A lot of people, when they are shocked out of their wits, you come and say, the closest person to you has died. आप पत्थर के बुत बन जाते हैं. You're stoned. You don't know how to react.
Yeah.
You'll fall unconscious, or you would not say anything. You would not even cry. All of this happens much later, when the catharsis happens. Much later. It could happen after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. I'll tell you, no, anyway, I don't want to go that route. It happened to us, a tragedy where a lot of people, like my wife was, couldn't take it. And she was like, she didn't know how to react, but it started taking its toll a year later, 2 years later. So yes, there are different ways of looking at her.
Yeah.
But I guess that when there are too many people talking about a certain thing, then you have to see if there is merit in it.
Yeah.
And if there is, as I said, there's no harm admitting, okay, I went wrong, and all right, I'll try, I'll probably put my best foot forward next time. I'll try harder, and I'll prove you all wrong. Or if you're convinced, I say this is the way my director wanted it, consider it, I'm happy what I did it. And
absolutely. I think the best example is Adhyayan here, 15 years, and you didn't go back to changing your track. I mean, kudos to you, man. Seriously.
Thank you.
It could have been easy for you to just say that छोड़ दो यार मैं कुछ और कर लेता हूँ.
Correct.
But मैं 15 साल बाद आपको यहाँ बैठे हुए देख रही हूँ with this world of SLB, and with all due respect to him, I'm going to just say that this is my opinion. He showed his idea of...
Can I narrate you a small incident?
Please.
I was here listening to one of Bachchan Saab's interview, and he said that the first few years, 13, 14, 15 of my films flopped.
Yeah.
15 films flopped. And the directors, without naming them, they would refer to him as that constipated actor. Oh my God, he's come again to ask for work. I know it for a fact because, Shashi ji told me, Shashi Kapoor. And he says there were producers who couldn't work without him later, were the ones who were saying, oh my God, this constipated looking actor has come again and he's going to ask for work. Get him out. Throw him out of the sets and the studio. Who allowed him? Okay? He was rejected for having a bad voice in All India Radio when he auditioned to be the newsreader. How ironical is that? He says, you don't have a voice. You don't have a good voice. Somebody said you were too tall.
Yeah.
But the worst thing is, he's saying that once I was coming out of the studio, I was sitting in my car. My parents were sitting right behind. One guy came and knocked. So I rolled down the window. And he abused in chaste Hindi. He said, who the fuck asked you to come here to become an actor? Have you seen your face? You're screwed up. You go back to wherever you have come from. can you imagine what actors have to go through? Anybody would have died, would have changed tracks, would have said, this is not meant for me. If this is the way, this is the way people are reacting. He was being abused in front of his parents. His parents were being abused, and he took it all on his chin because he had faith in himself and said, let the time come. So you have to go through a lot. He's, compared to that there's nothing that he's been through, probably not half as much what he went through. So you have to look for these examples. ये मिसालें हैं हमारी ज़िंदगी में. Who made it right to the top and how and still rocking. Touch wood. I mean, so you have to learn from these actors, and everybody has a backstory, and look at most of them who have struggled. A lot of people.
I want to ask you, do you want to give an advice to Sherman while the trolls have been out? Because you have been part of this. You've seen this firsthand. Yeah. What's
it's a good thing that you're asking about her. It's a good thing that you're asking about her. Because she needs to answer a lot of questions. Definitely. She needs to know a lot about herself.
What's an advice you'd like to give her?
I think you have. It's very important to not live in a bubble. I feel like it's very important to accept any sort of reality. It's not just Hira Mandi per se. I think it's very important to understand who you are. It's very important to understand whether you have it in you to be able to fight the next 15-20 years of your life. It's very important for you to not lie to yourself. And when you talk about my survival, I think सिर्फ ये बोलने से कि I will make it happen, I will do it without trying to work on your skills, you're never going to get anywhere in life. I think, at a point where acting wasn't working for me, I took on singing, from singing came back to acting, I took on direction, I started writing. So I did a lot of other things that eventually helped me come back to my point. And if she is being criticized for her performance, in the show, I feel like she should just take it, like a rock and come out and face the people, speak to people, and if the majority of them, I don't know, liked her, didn't like her, whatever it is, just talk to people. I think the audiences are very gentle.
Yeah.
They'll give you another chance if they feel that you worked hard to change. Because I'm a prime example of that, right? I'm a prime example who's written off as a failure, as a guy who didn't want to work, this, that, to a point where in probably a relatively smaller role in front of all these great actors who have been a part of the show, I still stood out. And for me, that you have to understand, for an actor, that's a massive learning. That I'm going to wait for that one film to come that's going to change my... That's not going to happen. Sometimes you're going to get that film, sometimes you're going to get the one scene that might eventually then get to that film. So which road you have to take, you have to be very clear. I always say this, that I began my career being the hero of all my films. And the size of my poster size kept getting smaller and smaller. And I know how much that hurts. And now the fight is to make it bigger again. So that's the whole journey. So you have to understand that.
But as I said, take a cue from people's journeys. Look at Katrina Kaif. When she came in Boom. And Hello Brother and all, she couldn't stand, she couldn't say her lines, she couldn't dance.
Yeah.
But look at her where she reached. And look at her performance in Rajneet. Look at her performance in
Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara.
Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara.
Even Dhoom 3.
Dhoom 3.
Dhoom 3. What a performance. You could never say this is the same girl who started off like that. So, it happens to the best of people. A lot of people go through that grind. Even Deepika grew into a beautiful actress.
Yeah.
So many of them. I mean, Ananya used to go through a lot of trolling till this last thing happened on OTT.
Ho gaye hum kahan.
And she came on to her.
Very true. Very true.
So, everybody goes through that. It's like, okay, I'm going to show them. I'm going to prove myself. Okay, if you think like that, give me another opportunity. But take it to your chin with a pinch of salt and a sense of humor.
वो कहते हैं ना, you are exactly what your last project or film was.
Yes.
So
और सब लोग भूल जाएं. सब यही लोग आपकी तारीफ करेंगे.
To prove people wrong, मजा अलग है उसका.
जी.
When people have put it down in the dumps and they're like, कुछ नहीं होगा, ऐसा खत्म हो गया, failure है.
Come back and hit back with a vengeance now.
जब लोगों के मुंह बंद होते हैं, उसका मजा अलग है लाइफ में ना.
Guys, amazing.
So you have to always.
इसलिए उसे किसी बात का मलाल नहीं होना चाहिए. Hi, I'm Shekhar Suman.
Hi, this is Adhyayan Suman.
And you're watching us on Bollywood Hungama.